personnel in Mike Evans and Vincent Jackson, that's for sure. So with 3 weeks to free agency, Patrick, anybody the Bucs are targeting or eyeing or guys you think they should be eyeing?
Well, if my sources were correct, they have about $27 million in cap space, give or take, some cuts and whatnot. I'll give you that number exactly. Right now, based on a salary cap of $142 million, they've got $30 million to play with. So $30 million. So, you can do a few things, and I'm not great with calculating contracts and all that stuff in the NFL. But if you look at it, you think you can go out and get yourself, an impact player. Now, is there many impact players out there? Defensively, were they in dire need of a pass rusher? That's a big thing that doesn't get talked up enough because they are staring at a quarterback in that number one slot. But to play the Tampa 2 defense, you need to get after the quarterback. You can't get after the quarterback. You're leaving that secondary out there and vulnerable with your ass hanging in the wind. So if we look out there, yeah, there's some nice guys who fit in. Justin Houston, but he's more of an edge rusher 3-4 guy. Jerry Hughes. One guy I'd be looking at is JPP. Now, JPP hasn't been as dominant as he was in the Giants Super Bowl winning year. I thought he played a little bit better last year. He's been dealing with a few injuries. He reminds me a lot of a guy like Simeon Rice, who, if you remember when he came in and joined the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, he was that final piece on that defense, I feel anyways, that took them over the top and made them that much more dominant. Just a pure pass rusher in the purest form. JPP would be a guy I'd be looking at. Offensive side of the ball, they got to help out that offensive line, that left tackle spot. Not necessarily convinced that Bulaga is that guy as a left tackle, but as far as the offensive guys out there and the tackles available, he's probably the best of the bunch, and it couldn't get much worse than Anthony Collins last year.
Outstanding, Patrick. That was a great analysis, and you identified certainly players in an area of need that would help this team tremendously. I wanted to ask you what you thought about Foster Mason. He was last year's starting middle linebacker. He's a free agent. Do they keep him or cut him?
He's another guy that they've had issues with injuries and whatnot. And when he's been on the field, yeah, he's been solid. I think sometimes his play has been a bit overrated, and especially you playing next to Levante David, he can make you look pretty good. And he's had a chance to make a lot of tackles, just in the nature of the Bucs D. It really depends on what his asking price is, because if say the Bucs just stand pat where they are, they pick number one in the first round, then they get the second pick in the second round. Now you're staring at a guy like Denzel Perryman from Miami. He's a guy 5'11", 240. He's not huge, but he's a thumper in the middle. He's athletic. He's fast. He's got an attitude to him. I like those Miami guys staying in Florida too. There's just something about him. Maybe because I'm biased because of the Warren Sapp and whatnot, his effect on the Tampa Bay Buccaneers when they came in. They sort of understand the history or the state. I don't know what it is, but I kind of like that. If you're going to say goodbye to Mason Foster, and I wouldn't shed a tear necessarily, and you want to stick with that second pick in the second round there, I'd go out and get myself a Denzel Perryman, and I'd be pretty happy with it.
That's Patrick Beaulieu. And Patrick, why don't we take a quick break, and when we come back, we'll do some more of this keep 'em or cut 'em.
Sounds good.
Keith, take it away.
Who the hell can wait till morning? Talk now at latenightsportsradio.com.
And we are back. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. It's Jim Saranteas of thefantasygreek.com, joined by my producer, Keith Grieve, along with our guest, Patrick Beaulieu of the Big Ticket Show. We're into the last 7 minutes of the show, and what we're going to do at this point, with 71 days to go till the draft and 20 days away from free agency, we're going to try and finish up our segment from 2 weeks ago called Keep 'em or Cut 'em. Basically, it's a list of players who are considered some of the more notable free agents to be or are free agents, and some players, teams might want to cut. And I'm going to ask Patrick and Keith what they think. Should we keep them or cut them? So with that said, gentlemen, here's a player that has been on everybody's mind since the end of last season and has been in the news recently, and that's the Vikings' Adrian Peterson. Keep him or cut him?
Go ahead, Patrick. You take the lead on this one.
I'm going to say you got to keep him. Future Hall of Famer. I think he's handled this whole situation on the back end right. You got to keep Adrian Peterson.
It all depends on, a lot of stuff that we'll never know. You know what I mean? Is Adrian Peterson aware of why the world was all up in arms about what went down? If he doesn't seem like if he's going to take the stance or continue to operate from a stance of, well, that's just the way I was raised, then I don't really know what you can do with that kind of attitude as a public figure at an NFL franchise is. Now, the Vikings were in the upper third as far as their run blocking performance at Pro Football Focus, so theoretically you could get away with a lackluster running back. But if he is ready to understand why the public is so against what happened and what went down, then I think you can keep him. He is an incredible talent.
Guys, I think that's all good and said. Vikes should keep him for one more season, at least one more season. And, running back's just not at the top of their need list with them. And if they cannot get a Telvin Coleman or a Melvin Gordon, I think they should definitely pass on the running back position and just stick with AP. He's still got a little bit left in the tank. They might as well use it all up. So,
hey, let's not forget, guys, it's going to be the second year of Teddy Bridgewater in there. That team actually had a lot of competent moments out there this year. That's a team that could surprise a lot of people next year.
Absolutely, absolutely. Now, another player that is very much on the minds of this team's fan base, who actually is going to cost a decent amount against the cap if he's franchised, but maybe they work out a long-term deal. Who knows? Is the Packers' Randall Cobb. Keep him or cut him?
Well, Randy, that is a tough one. You love what Randall Cobb means to this offense. I mean, they can go with Jordy Nelson and Randall Cobb. I mean, that's just a nightmare every single week for defensive coordinators. The Packers are really, really close to, getting back to that Super Bowl. I'd like to see them try and get Randall Cobb back into the fold. I think he means a lot to that offense.
He is. He does mean a lot. And you look at Jordy Nelson, who was actually targeted more, who had a higher yards per route run for the year. If you're Green Bay and you don't get Cobb at the price you want, I think you can cut him, actually.
I'll just say that I think Cobb's a player that they should try to keep if they can, but if they franchise tag him and can't really work out a good deal on a long-term contract, it's going to push them up against the upper limit of the salary cap. Mm-hmm. And Ted Thompson's got a big decision to make. This might be something where he lets the market set the price, and then it'll make it very obvious to him what he'll do. And in any case, they got Devontae Adams waiting in the wing, and he's proved enough to me that he could be a starter. So a team that we're moving on to has done well by getting into the playoffs, but doesn't seem to be going very far into the playoffs. Middle linebacker Ray Maluga for the Cincinnati Bengals, free agent. Keep him or cut him?
To me, Ray Malaluga is a replaceable guy at middle linebacker. He's not great in coverage. I didn't think that Cincinnati was overly enthused with his play seasons ago. A little bit better this year. That's a team too. They seem to very adept at bringing in guys and plugging them into their system and getting a lot of production out of them. I don't think that they would feel the loss of a Ray Malaluga. I think he's a replaceable part for the Cincinnati Bengals.
Yeah. See, the thing is, you don't realize how good a player like him is until you don't have one. Like the Bears found out when Urlacher went over the hill and through the woods. I think you have to try to get something. You have to get him back into the fold, and you have to keep him.
Okay.
Large gap, however, between Brian Urlacher and Ray
Malaluga. I agree. No, I agree completely. That's not what I was trying to say. I just think,
I feel you. Yeah, losing your middle linebacker, it's also your signal caller, and on defense, it's a big loss. Losing and replacing a middle linebacker.
Yeah. Well, once they're gone, then you realize, oh wait, we don't have a succession plan
there. And I assume if I were to mention the Giants' Jason Pierre-Paul based on the comments that I heard from you, Patrick, and what we heard from George, I think you guys would agree he's a player that the Giants should try to keep.
Oh, definitely. Yeah, I mean, they don't have anybody in the wings to do what he does. I mean, there's not many guys who can when he's on and when he's healthy. To me, it's pass rushers are a premium. You need to rush the passer in the NFL these days. If you can't, forget about it.
We mentioned AP. How about the Minnesota Vikings' Greg Jennings? Now, here's a player who was signed to a big contract as a free agent, and quite frankly, we haven't seen the wide receiver one type numbers we would want from him. It would hurt. They would still owe him some money if they cut him, but they'd save $5 million in cap savings. What do you guys think about Jennings? Keep him or cut him?
To be honest with you, I mean, I could have swore they already cut him. I mean, he's that to me. So, I mean, did you ever hear Greg Jennings with a big day in Minnesota? No, you don't, because he doesn't have him anymore, and he can, he'd be serviceable. I'd have him in as a 3, an extremely Jacksonville Jaguar-esque wide receiver too. But no, I mean, you're not paying him big money wide receiver one money anymore. Greg Jennings can be replaced and will be, I think.
When Jennings left Green Bay, no one knew whether he was more Jennings or more Rodgers, and I think the verdict has been handed down. He is definitely all Rodgers. Greg Jennings is replaceable. I agree.
I agree with you guys. The next player I have is